Peace be with you. One of the main reasons that God tells us that the Quran was sent down to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is to combat ignorance. And in Arabic, this is known as Jahiliyah, right? The age of Jahiliyah, the age of ignorance, is the age just preceding Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, during which age his people, they practiced evil things. And there's a good quote that one of the companions of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, told King Negus of Abyssinia when there were refugees over there because their own people were basically hunting to exterminate them. What he tells King Negus is that his people were ignorant and they worshipped multiple gods, and they thought that might was right, and they practiced all these abominations and they killed their children, and they were unjust people. And he says, then God sent a prophet among us, and we decided to follow him because we saw that these people were ignorant. The same thing is happening. This exact same thing, the age of ignorance, is happening right now in the United States of America. At least that's what's familiar to me. I'm sure it's happening all over the world. It is the age of ignorance. When people think that evil is good and good is evil, then you know that you are living during an age of ignorance, right? And if you just carefully watch these people, you realize how ignorant some of them are. They are so ignorant while at the same time so confident of their own superiority that they can't see how naive they are. I don't think that these people are ill-intentioned, to be honest. I just think they are very ignorant in regards to reality, and they can't foresee things happening based on the actions they take, even though some of those things are completely predictable. And so, like, for example, people who support the killing of children, right, abortion, they think that they have the moral high ground, right? And what they're actually doing is keeping an option for themselves to kill their child, so they can take risk without consequence, so they can indulge in their desires, like for example, just sleeping around with everybody, without having to deal with the consequence, which in reality is really a blessing from God, but the consequence of children. So you're just going to kill that child because they are an inconvenience. And people who argue that this is the right thing to do, that taxpayers in the United States of America should, as a matter of morality, finance this quote-unquote health care, they believe this. And they are ignorant people because they are genocidal murderers, because 800,000 of children die from abortion, nearly 800,000 depending on the year, in the United States of America. When that many old people died from COVID, the whole country was shut down. But we killed that many young people, and nobody bats an eye. As a matter of fact, not only did they not bat an eye, but they attempted to assume the position of morality. Ridiculous, right? But that's how ignorant they are. That's the issue in of itself. I just read an article about either a governor or a mayor of some city of Albuquerque in New Mexico, right? This woman decided to use some sort of a healthcare code to prohibit the carrying of a concealed or open carry in Albuquerque, New Mexico, right? She is literally attempting to use the health code to skirt the Constitution of the United States of America and laws existing on the book in the state itself. Why? Because there has been a number of shooting crimes in New Mexico, right? And you would think that, all right, well, what happened? There are these people who are illegally carrying concealed weapons. They're going around murdering people all of a sudden. Why is that happening? Well, that's not at all what's happening. The example that this person gives in their speech or whatever are just crimes, right? They are crimes and have nothing to do with people carrying weapons legally. But because this person is so ignorant, they are unable to see the naivety of their position and futility of it, other than making more victims, right? So they try to assume this moral position because they are so ignorant. And this is what happened in the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, even though he came with everything right. And if you read the Quran, all of it is right, man. If you're talking about morality, it's the same thing. One of the main concepts in the Quran is justice, right? And that's in the Bible. That is the golden rule, justice. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But for example, for a human being to have to be able to do that, they would actually have to do to people what they would want people to do to them, right? So when God says don't commit zina, right? Don't use somebody's, like, and I'm talking to men now, don't use somebody's sister for your personal pleasure, only to discard them when you would not want that for your sister, and you know it. You would not want that for your mother or your daughter. So if you as a man are tricking, women into doing this with you, and even if they want to do it with you, if you allow them, you are not doing, justice. You're not doing what you would want done to yourself. So that is what's right, right? That's how you know it. You wouldn't want anyone else to kill your child. Like, if you are a pregnant woman and you want that child, you would not want anyone else to kill that child. You would not consider that as a termination or abortion if somebody took that child away from you that you wanted. The only difference between murder in your eyes and moral position is whether you want the child or not. How ridiculous is that? Ignorance. Prophets brought a weapon against ignorance. And you just have to keep trying to tell people that this is the right way, and try to prove it to them. But this is the issue, is ignorance. They are unable to see because they don't want to see. They want to be right. And they are selfish. All people want to fulfill their own desires. And it takes a certain amount of discipline and religious dedication to keep from harming others, because you want to fulfill your desire. You want that fix. You want that money. You want that lust. You want all those things. It takes a certain amount of discipline and obedience to God to avoid those pitfalls, which are destructive to society, which are destructive to people, which is their own self-destruction. They just don't get it because they're ignorant. They're Jahil. That's what that means. Peace be with you.